my name is Samantha Tab, and this is my Module 8 over legal aspects of the teacher evaluation. So the first article that I read was called "The Teacher Evaluations Heads to Court." So this article was pretty much over because of the new ways that teachers are evaluated on. It has caused a lot of litigation in state and federal courts. A couple reasons why were how it was implemented, the grades and the test scores that were used to evaluate the teachers, baseline fairness and poverty, so things that are going on in the community and the school that affect an evaluation. And then also, how do these new evaluations apply to tenure teachers that already have tenure? The second one was the teacher evaluation. This is an issue overview. So the traditional evaluations were based really heavy on observations, lesson plans, and student samples. So there are many reasons why, but the four big factors of why evaluations are being changed is the fact that there is more research on teacher quality and how that affects student growth. And then there's also an interest in boosting teacher effectiveness so that we can obtain higher growths for students. And then obviously revamping the state laws on evaluation so that it's more statewide and not just like district and all of that. And then there is a lot of pressure from politicians and government officials to dismiss poorly performing teachers. So this would be a way to draw a line between them. So this is a continued one for the teacher evaluation and issue overview. So there, I would say with the evaluations, I kind of lumped them into two categories. So there was the advocates that were on the teacher's side, and then there's the policymakers that are justifying why these teacher evaluations need to be changed. So the advocates argued that the current systems in place were ineffective, and that their findings to strengthen the teaching profession, they opened up their mind to the fact that, yes, it does need to be reevaluated, the evaluation system, but that the information that they obtain from evaluations needs to focus on strengths and weaknesses of teachers, and then it would be up to the district to tailor ongoing supports like professional learning to help these teachers become effective. And then the second category that I had put it in was the policymakers. So the policymakers seem to be more focused on getting rid of bad teachers effectively and quickly. And that policymakers and the government were, sorry, I'm like losing my mind. We're offering grants to the states that agreed to make the changes to the new evaluation system. So some of the things that they wanted to put in place for the new evaluation system would be the new teacher evaluation systems, and that they had given money to, the government had given money to districts that were willing to change on that. So continued, how does it work? So now the new teacher evaluation systems would be periodic observations with a well-known research-based framework. The amount of observations that were conducted would be up to the district and or the school to decide, and that test scores would be a huge factor in it. And that when it came to the evaluation, that half of your evaluation would be based on student achievement or student growth in many states, not all states. But they did find that there were some challenges, and the challenges were that maybe some evaluation frameworks were too lenient or that they weren't implemented completely. And so that would face a challenge as far as teachers getting their evaluations and it not being consistent. So another article that I want to summarize would be the teacher evaluation article. So they had 6 key principles that would serve as a development and reforming the evaluation system. So some things that they thought were really important, the key principles would be that you need to have safe and open collaboration, that when you are measuring teacher performance, it needs to be meaningful and it needs to be based on multiple ratings, not just one. The evaluation systems must be integrated within the schools and the classrooms. The validated evaluation measures are essential, and that it's important to have teachers' input when determining the performance and the learning outcomes. and that the assessment and evaluation systems need to be jointly created. Those last 2 points going back to the importance of safe and open collaboration. The article is still going, and it talks about some characteristics of effective teachers. High expectations, they're positive, they have diverse resources for diverse learners, and that they have really good collaboration skills. That was the effective teacher. So now going on to the quality teacher characteristics in the article: differentiation, collaborative relationships, they have leadership qualities, they have in-depth knowledge for skills and content, things going on within the school and the classroom. They continue to learn professionally. They don't just use one assessment system. They have varied assessments to show growth and understanding. And a quality teacher also shows an understanding and diversity within your classroom. You're not going to have just one cookie cutter kind of student. You need to show that you have an understanding of multiple different learners, different types of students, backgrounds, ethnicities, and all of that. And that it is also important for quality teachers to overcome barriers that affect student learning within the classroom, with the district and the school. All right, so, whoops, that was weird. So my teacher evaluation measures and systems article, which was the last article, it pretty much talked about improving teacher effectiveness, to close gaps in achievement, and that the goal of the teacher evaluation should be to improve the teaching and learning, identifying the strengths and the weaknesses, and then the strategies that can help the teachers become effective. All right, going to my district. So I work at District 49 in Colorado Springs. We use the Marzano Art and Science of Teaching framework. It is research-based. It is broken up into 4 standards: classroom strategies and behaviors, planning and preparing, reflecting on teaching, and then professionalism. So each of those off to the side here, you can see that each of those is worth 7.5% of my evaluation. After that would be student growth is 50%. So going back to what that one article said, my district does use the 50% of student growth. So 25% of that 50% is the whole school student growth. And then the other 25% is my classroom student growth. And then the last part that I am evaluated on is my growth plan. And this year, for example, my growth plan was collecting data from my students on a regular basis. So I showed my evidence of all of that, and I was evaluated on 20% of my evaluation. So what can the teachers do in my school or even in my district if they feel like their evaluation is inaccurate? And believe it or not, that actually did happen this year. We had quite a few people go from highly effective to just effective. They were on the very high end of effective, but they were upset because they were not rated as highly effective. So what they did was they met with the evaluator, which was our principal. They showed evidence, and then they stated their case, and then they either got it changed or they didn't. And honestly, none of that was my business. So I didn't really ask how it went, but I will say that when I went in just to talk, I didn't want mine to be changed, because as a third-year teacher, I was very happy to be rated right, strongly an effective teacher, but I do wonder how that went with the other teachers that had to show evidence and state their case because they were upset that they were not highly effective. What can they do if they feel like they are unjustly being let go? That is a good question. This is my first year at this district and at this school, so I will reach out to my principal and see what the motions is for that. That hasn't happened since I've been there, so I'm not quite sure, and that's not something that we have talked about before. So the case that I want to talk about is the Houston teachers, 7 Houston teachers against the Houston Independent School District. So the foundation of the case would be that they felt like the educational tool that they were being evaluated on, which was the value-added assessment system, was unfair. So I've grouped that up into what the teachers have said and what the district have said. So the teachers thought it was inaccurate and unfair, that they were being evaluated on the scores of tests that do not assess the curriculum that they are supposed to teach, and that due processes are being violated because they cannot challenge their results. So the district then repeatedly defended the system and that they backed up the importance and the research base of the value added system. And next would be the results. So the results were that the independent school district, or the Houston Independent School District, was no longer allowed to use what a court deemed an unfair teaching evaluation system to terminate educators. And then last but not least, I need to do a little bit of reflection. As a future building leader, I will make sure that I am knowledgeable on the evaluation tool that I am to use. And that in order, I feel like a lot of this goes back to just being an effective collaborator. So to me, that is very important as a teacher, a human, a mom, a sister, whatever, everything. And that will also apply to when I become a building leader, that collaboration, say it with me, collaboration is so important. That it will be important for me to be aware of the kinks in the system. It will be important to know how and what to evaluate effectively, like know where everything is and what to be looking for when I go into a classroom. And that it will be important for me to be an effective collaborator, because I would love to have ongoing talks and meetings over the general feel of my building. Not that I could truly make an evaluation system go away, but it would be nice that if the overall feel of the school is that they don't like this evaluation system, maybe they are just misguided and they have misconceptions, and that would be a good time for me to go over the evaluation tool so that they understand the how, the why, the what, why we're doing this. So that goes back to collaboration. And then I would like to have a strategy already in place that if someone felt like that they weren't being effectively evaluated on, that there is a contesting strategy that we can all come to an agreement that this is how we're going to go. If you feel like I didn't evaluate you correctly, this is what you're going to need to show. And all of that would be through collaboration and an agreed upon strategy, but also following the laws and the policies of the district. And last but not least, I just want to say thank you for watching my video. Have a good night.